Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the 2018 Shawano Mayoral Debate. My name is Chuck Dallas, President and founder of iConsult Inc., and I will serve as moderator and panelist for this evening's debate. On behalf of the presenting sponsors, including the Shawano Country Chamber of Commerce, Shawano Leader, SAPRO, and Shawano Community Education, we want to thank you for supporting this important event, which will provide voters a better understanding of the two candidates seeking to become Shawano's next mayor. Mayor Krantz and Chief Whalen were the top two vote getters in the February 20th primary election and will now face off in the April 3rd general election. This debate is a free exchange of views and ideas, and we know everyone involved, from the candidates to the panelists and the audience, will be respectful and display common courtesies to the candidates and one another. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's meet the two candidates. First, Mayor Jeannie Krantz. Jeannie Krantz is a lifelong resident of Shawano. She was a teacher and principal in the Shawano School District for 34 years, mentored 6 schools in Green Bay, and worked for NWTC for 5 years. She holds a master's degree in educational leadership and a Wisconsin real estate license. Currently, she is the mayor of Shawano, a member of the Shawano Rotary Club, and a volunteer with the Junior Achievement Program. She is a past president of the Shawano Optimist Club and past president of St. James School Board and member of Big Brothers Big Sisters. Jeannie served as the chairperson of the Hospital Advisory Board and was a 15-year member of the Shawano Planning Commission. She and her husband Dennis have been married for 26 years and are the proud parents of 2 fur babies. How about a round of applause for Jeannie?
Thank you.
Next is Ed Whalen, recently retired as the chief of police for the city of Shawano's police department. He began his law enforcement career in 1975 and served 34 years on the city's force. During his law enforcement career, he also served as a special conservation warden for the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources. Ed holds a Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. He's also a graduate of the FBI National Academy. Candidate Whalen served as an adjunct instructor in the Criminal Justice Department at Fox Valley Tech in Appleton. Currently is a substitute teacher for the Shawano School District. Ed serves as the vice chairperson of the City of Shawano Housing Authority. He's past president of the Wisconsin Chiefs of Police Association and the North Central Wisconsin Chiefs of Police. Charter member of the Shawano County Humane Society, member of the Navarino Nature Center. Ed is a past member of the Shawano Rotary Club, serves as Commodore of the Ocano Yacht Club. Ed and his wife Diana, who recently passed away after 37 years of marriage, built and successfully operated a small business, Complete Canine Care Center in Shawano for 27 years. Please give Ed a round of applause. Joining me for this evening's debate is co-moderator and panelist Tim Ryan, a veteran reporter with the Shawano Leader, and Melissa Olson of Kerber Rose CPAs, who will serve as our timekeeper. Before we begin the forum, or the debate, let me review a few of the ground rules. Each candidate will have 2 minutes to present opening remarks, their positions and key campaign themes prior to the start of questioning. As co-moderators, Tim Ryan and I will determine the pattern and rotation of questioning. As a candidate is asked a question, they'll be provided 90 seconds to reply. The second candidate will be given 90 seconds to rebut, and the original candidate will be given 90 seconds to respond. It is up to the discretion of the moderators how long the discussion between the candidates will be allowed to proceed. The moderators reserve the right to keep candidate responses on topic and may gently steer them back if the discussion veers from the subject at hand. The moderators will also be allowed to ask follow-up questions. The forum will conclude with a closing statement from each candidate, which will not exceed 3 minutes. Both candidates were provided the topics to be discussed during tonight's debate in advance. However, they were not provided the questions. The topics to be covered this evening include economic development, taxation, debt and TIF districts, government operations, business-friendly environment and city regulations, crime, drugs, and strategies to address these problems, and intergovernmental relations. Prior to this evening's debate, it was decided that ladies will go first, so Mayor Jeannie Krantz will be the first to give us opening remarks, and we'll have the very first question. So Jeannie, please proceed with your opening remarks.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I would like to thank all of you for coming out tonight to hear how we feel about the different projects and topics that have been given to us. I'd like to thank the Shawano leader, the SAPRO group, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Community Ed for putting this together. One of the things that I want to see happen is to keep the momentum going. That is what I want for this city. I'm a hometown girl. I'm proud of Shawano. I have a vision for Shawano to grow. It's something that, as an educator, I always had a vision for my students so that they could progress from whatever grade they were in, so that they could end up at a college or a tech school or something, so that they got a better education. And that's what I want for our city. I want to see our city grow and continue to be prosperous in a fiscally responsible way. I'm very proud of the things that have happened in Shawano during my term. We have positive progress going. We have a lot of new businesses that have come to Shawano, knowing that Shawano is a good place to be. We have Culver's and Bellmark and State Bank and Wasabi and Children's Consign Shop, lots of different things that have happened. We've got Cricket Wireless, Burlap and Baskets. These are all new to Shawano, and we need to encourage growth and encourage businesses to come. We'd like to remember too that some of the things we have to remember is that the people that are down the road, I'm not doing this for me, I'm doing it for the young people. I want to make sure that they have a safe and healthy place to be, and they want experiences, not collections like when I was growing up. We wanted collections of this and that and the next thing. So I hope that you will see the differences between Mr. Whalen and I, and know that we are in a progressive movement, and vote will appropriately.
All right, very good. Ed, your opening remarks.
Thank you. Hello and welcome. I am Ed Whalen, and I'm pleased to be a candidate for mayor of the city of Shawano. First, I would like to thank the Shawano leader, Shawano Chamber of Commerce, along with the Shawano area young professionals and the Shawano Community Education for hosting the debate. I'd also like to thank Tim Ryan and Chuck Dallas, along with Melissa Lolson, for their participation in tonight's debate. Thanks to all of you who are in attendance tonight, and those of you who are watching live streaming. The experience I received through my 30 years of working for the city of Shawano in law enforcement has prepared me for the position of mayor. I was a member of the city's management team, and as leaders we attended finance, personnel, department head, budget planning, and council meetings. Issues that came up before the city were discussed under the leadership of then Mayor Schmidt and Mayor Marquardt. As heads of our respective departments, we were given the opportunity to voice our opinions about any issues that the city was dealing with, and it was a great experience. We help to solve issues together. I have a good understanding of each department's responsibilities and challenges. It was a great team building experience, and one I participated in for not a few years, but for many years. We often hear about our needs for more business and industry with good paying jobs. I couldn't agree more. But we also need to appreciate and work with the businesses and industries we have. Many of the local businesses and industries in our city don't feel they have a voice. They feel their concerns have gone unnoticed and unresolved. I will work to change that. I have already been approached by numerous businesses and industrial leaders, and I look forward to working with them to resolve their concerns. It is critical we retain the businesses in our industries that are here today. I have also heard the public's concerns about excessive spending and borrowing. We need to take a look at not only our Main Street, but also our corridors. I will work at reducing the restrictive regulations for both our homeowners and business community, and I look forward to any questions you may have tonight.
Very good. Thank you both. Our first topic tonight is economic development, and Tim Ryan will pose the first question.
Thank you, and thanks to our candidates for being here. There's no question that we've had some good economic development news in the last couple of years.
Show your mic just a little bit away from you there. There we go.
We've had some good economic development news in the last couple of years, as you mentioned, Jeannie. But we still have vacant downtown storefronts and empty spaces in our strip malls. Why is that, and what needs to be done about it?
Well, first of all, we are working very hard with our RDA, Redevelopment Authority, to fix some of those empty buildings. Those buildings are owned by personal people that the city does not have ownership of. We're aggressively trying to vacate dilapidated buildings on Main Street and East Green Bay Street. We've been successful in getting the Ponderosa taken down and are working patiently on the old Senzig building, or if some of you know it as the old Lowerman building, as well as the 143 and 145 South Main. Taking private property is a serious legal issue that has to be done right to protect the RDA from liability. There's a very deliberate legal process that must be followed to the letter, so that we don't get into any kind of legal difficulties. We fully expect to have title of 214 and 216, which is the Senzig building, by the end of March, and have retained engineering services to plan the demolition of that building. But there are many other properties sitting vacant for more than a decade and in many serious deteriorating conditions, and we need to encourage the owners, and we have financial help for them if they choose to either upgrade or make them useful and get new owners or turn it over to the RDA. So we are working diligently at getting those vacant buildings filled.
Okay, if I could, before we toss over to Ed for a response, could I just follow up here? You seem to focus primarily on CIST-related properties. Those are not the only vacancies we have, and certainly not at the strip malls as well. So I'm just wondering if there's anything you would like to add.
In my previous statement, I did say that we are working with other properties. There are a lot of properties, and when we had our consulting firm come in, they addressed and we identified 19 different properties, and they are all being addressed, not just the CIS properties. And we're working diligently with them. We're sending them letters. We're telling them how we as a city can encourage them. And it's not just on Main Street, it's in the other areas also. So it's not just directed at the CIS people.
Okay, thank you for clarifying.
Okay, Ed is next.
Thanks, Tim. Downtown has been an issue for many, many years. It needs to be addressed. Jeannie is right. It has to be done legally and by the book. But also, I'm glad she clarified there are other buildings not owned by CIST that need to be addressed and dealt with. One of the complaints, though, I hear from, and we need to work with those businesses that have been put into a blighted area in the city. Those businesses are upset because of what they've been put into, along with the stigma of being blighted. Our city needs to work closely with those businesses to develop plans to address any issues that might come up with the RDA. And also the RDA, we need to take a look at how they're operating and the ability for them to borrow money or not put the city in debt we're dealing with, and it's been compared with the RDA, compared with the City Housing Authority and the Shawano Municipal Utilities. Neither one of those two entities deal with city taxes or use city taxpayers' money, but the RDA does, and that has to be monitored very, very closely. Not only that, but we also talked about the strip malls and things like that. We need to develop businesses and promote our businesses that are here to keep them here. I believe in the hometown effort, and I want to promote that.
Jeannie, you do have 90 seconds if you'd like to respond.
Sure. Just so people understand that the money where it's coming from first gets processed through the SICDC, which is the Shawano Industrial and Development Group, which is made up of citizens who decide whether or not funding should be placed in these buildings, you know, to help these owners update their buildings, and it goes through that process first before it comes to RDA. We're sharing that pot of money, and that pot of money is intended to help all of the businesses that request it. And we're doing what we can, and we're sending out letters and with explanations on where that money comes from. It is something that because people want the city to look better, and because we want a more vital downtown area. We've got some new businesses down there that are working extremely hard with the bid district, trying to make things work, and we have been successful with that, and they are being successful. And you're right, we do need to encourage the businesses that are here to stay here and expand, not just encourage new businesses, which we want also, but all of that money comes through a whole process of going through the SICDC first in order to say we can use that for RDA development.
Very good. All right. My question will be posed to Ed first. The Highway 29 corridor is a very important piece for development for the future of Shawano. I know there's been a committee formed, and we've been working with the neighboring townships, but as mayor, how would you see or how would you encourage the development along Highway 29 along that corridor?
I believe the Highway 29 corridor and the County Highway B corridor is going to be a key area for the city of Shawano in growth and development. Downtown is one issue, East Green Bay Street is another issue, but 29, when that was reconstructed and built into a 4-lane highway, and the city spent, I know there's a plan sitting on a shelf someplace down in City Hall that we need to take and revisit about the development, the industrial development of the 29 corridor along with County B corridor. I have spent time talking with a number of the town chairmen, and we need to redevelop a relationship of trust and openness with them. It's got to be a win-win situation, not only for the city of Shawano, but for those townships also. We are joined at the hip with the townships, and we need to address their concerns along with development of the city. One of the other areas along the 29 corridor, I think that's going to be key, is looking at housing development. Currently, we have no new areas for housing development in the city of Shawano. They're lacking. We need to step forward, take a look at creating areas that are ready for housing development, work with developers, work with those townships, and develop those areas for people to build a home today. Thank you.
Okay. Jeannie?
Well, I have been attending meetings with the township chairmen and their boards, and we have been doing this for the past 2 years, talking about a cooperative boundary agreement, and we're near completion with a boundary agreement with Waukesha, which is on the B and 29 corridor. What we're trying to do is make sure that we are working collaboratively with all of the town chairmen and the boards so that it is a win-win situation as Shawano expands. We do have a plan that was developed, and I believe I was part of that development of our plan, and we are working towards that. But again, that all takes time and money, and we do have some expansion that will be hopefully on that B corridor very soon. But we are working towards that, and we have been meeting. We've gone to their town hall meetings, and they've asked questions and back and forth with different ideas of how this boundary agreement will work collaboratively with all of them. We want to see growth in that area because that is really the only way that we can get growth at this point. New housing development would be great. There have been, some new developments, which I can talk about a little bit, and that's all good for our city.
Okay. Ed, any response?
Yes. When I'm talking with the town chairman, one of their concerns that needs to be addressed is they're concerned with their tax base, what's going to happen to areas of their townships, how they're going to be affected. Also, one of the town chairmans I talked to was concerned about agricultural land and that being taken out of their tax base. So there's a number of issues that have to be addressed. The meetings with the town, the mayor, as she talks about, it hasn't been at those meetings. I believe it's been a city administrator or somebody else at the meeting. I, as mayor, would be at those meetings, develop that relationship again with those town chairmen and the townships themselves and address those issues.
Okay. I do have a follow-up. I'll pose it to Ed. We'll stay in the same flow here. With several categories to choose from, industrial, commercial, retail, and even residential, what should the city's top economic development priority be, and where in the city should it be focused? Ed?
Sure. Our we need to develop areas in the industrial park, to develop those areas, to market them better. The geographic location of our community, Shawano, between Wausau and Green Bay, should be a magnet for a company to come in. We have the resources, we have the electrical supply, we have the water, the market. We need to develop the industrial park to the point that it's creating, like Belmark that just came in, creating good paying jobs, allow people to build a home, become part of the community, our schools, all of that. In the industrial end of it, and then I also think the next important part is the business or the housing in our community needs to be addressed. Thank you.
Okay, Jeannie?
Well, I think it's all very important, and I don't know if we can say what is more important than the other. But as far as industrial growth, we are working very diligently with our SCEPI director, Dennis Haling. He hears of things, people call him, and if we're more than willing to meet with anyone and everyone that wants to come here. We don't turn people away. If they need assistance, we provide assistance for them. As far as residential, there are some lots in the city that can be developed. There aren't a lot, but I believe it was in the paper this past weekend that Shawano finally had 5 new homes in town, and the surrounding districts had 19 surrounding townships. Well, if you figure that out, 5 townships, 19, that comes out to 3.8 houses as opposed to 5 in the city. And as far as 2018 goes, we already have 2 new bills and 2 more that are coming in. So we're ahead of the game as far as, finding places for new housing. It may not be a big development, but there is new housing coming in. So I feel that we're doing what we can. We are supporting the people that want to live here. And again, it's, the citizens' choice if they want to live in the country or in the city, but we do have available space, not for a whole big development, but we do have space.
Okay. Any response back yet?
Absolutely. The city of Shawano should not be sitting on its laurels with 5 new housing starts in the city of Shawano, the size of the city of Shawano. I've spoken with people that are building homes out in the county. They want the city services. They want the services, the police services, fire service, garbage pickup, water, sewer. The internet is a huge issue for the young couples that are building a home today. The additional fees that are tacked on to home building, along with the types of lots that are available in the city of Shawano, are forcing these people to go and look outside the city of Shawano to build a home. Today's market, home building is anywhere from $250,000 to $350,000 to build a home. And if they're going to invest that kind of money, they want a lot that they like, that they're comfortable with, but they do want the city services. And I believe that we need to look forward to finding those areas of the city and helping develop those lots for these people that want to build a home and have the services the city provides in the future. We have a great services that we provide our city residents, and we need to push that forward and market our area and our community to address those issues.
Okay, next question, Tim, will be posed to Jeannie.
Does the city have adequate resources available to spur economic development, not just in terms of TIF districts and financial incentives, but in terms of outreach and marketing? And related to that, should the city be waiting for outside businesses to come to Shawano, or should we be out there trying to recruit them?
That's a hard one, because we don't want to just sit and wait for someone to come and be recruited, but it's hard to go out and find different businesses to come into an area. They do their due diligence, they look around. The reason we got Bellmark was because of the incentives that we could provide. They looked at 12 other cities, I believe, and they ended up with having Shawano as their destination because we provided the best services, the best utilities, the best incentives. So should we go out and try and recruit? Yes, but it's hard to recruit when you don't know who's out there looking. And what we do, we work with our Skeppy gentleman, and Dennis works very hard with us, and anytime we have any kind of inclination that someone wants to come to our city, we are on it right away. So other than that, it's hard to go out and say, come here. We could advertise and say this is a great place, and part of that we're trying to do with the new branding initiative through the county. Come to Shawano County, and with that, Shawano City would be the hub where people would live and work, and we would then see development, but through our branding issue.
Okay, yeah?
Sure. We could do better with what we're doing. I believe Dennis Haling's doing a great job, and Skeppy, along with the Chamber of Commerce, we're there, but we're sitting back and we're waiting. I believe that there's marketing that we could do as a city to look at the industries that and get a feel for what the industries are looking for. I am sure that there is a way of developing a system to let industries know what we have here. A number of years ago, we lost out on an industry that was due to come in here, Team Industries, and they were going to develop and work in the industrial park. That unfortunately fell through because of some of the regulations and some of the things with the wetlands and different things. So we need to take a look at our industrial parks, how to market those industrial parks, and there are avenues out there that we need to explore to enhance the efforts of Skippy and work with our Shawano County Economic Development Partners.
Okay, response, Jeannie?
Well, I think we are already doing a lot of that. We're reaching out where we can and when we can to whoever, and we have had marketing groups put feelers out and say, this is what we have to offer you, but we haven't had a lot of reply. So, we do continue to do that. That's absolutely what we do to try and get new companies, new businesses into our area. We have to be careful though too, because part of getting a new industry, and we have to have the labor force. We have to have the skilled workers that are available. And when companies are looking, they look at that also. So it's kind of a catch-22. You have to have the workers in order to have the new businesses. And if we don't have the workers, businesses are going to say, this isn't a good fit for us. So we're trying to work together with the schools, with the other areas of trying to keep our young people here, and trying to make sure that we do have a good time getting them in here. But we do work with marketing groups, and can we do more? Sure, but that again comes at a cost. Thank you.
Okay, Tim, follow-up question?
Do you believe there was a sufficient effort to market the former Shawano Medical Center property? And are high-end apartments really the best use of that property? Do we have the kind of business base that's going to support that? Or are we taking a giant leap of faith here?
Well, the redevelopment of the old hospital property has been under discussion since November of 2012. I was asked to head the task force by former Mayor Mark Wart in 2013 to identify reusabilities or alternatives. Since then, there have been 2 major marketing efforts, each spanning more than 2 years from start to finish. The first ended up empty-handed because Theta Care rejected the residency training center proposal. And the second had gotten to the point of zoning approval for the Tadic Investment Partners housing development. What we're trying to do is look at a number of proposals and leads from hotels and assisted living developers, but North Point, who came in and wanted to build there, was denied by the Planning Commission, and the current Tadic proposals are the only ones that were serious enough to even look at. So we are out there trying to market that area. Is it a good fit? It would bring in tax base, and as far as can they fill those apartments, can the city fill that higher end single family homes? I think we can. Many people have talked to me and said, we do not want a home where we have to do lawn, where we have to do snow removal. They want high-end apartments.
Okay, Ed?
I hope it works, because in that neighborhood, many of those people in the neighborhood, their concerns were never addressed or even listened to. Many of those people in the neighborhood, and that was a prime example of the city could have worked towards building for homes or lots for homes that were buildable and desirable in the city location. I applaud the efforts that the city made for 2 years, and they only have 2 proposals that came forward. The other proposal that was there and could have been addressed at the time was to use that area and develop that into buildable home lots for people in the community that wanted to build a home in that $200,000 to $250,000 price range, have the city amenities. It was a opportunity missed. And I look forward to see if this works. I hope it does. I think a lot of thought and effort's been put into it, but at the price, I'm a little concerned with how that development's going to work.
Okay, response, Jeannie?
Yes. I am sure that it is a little high-end for some people, but we do have young professionals that have told us. I have gone to the SAPRO meetings, and they said they live outside of our community. Why? Because there are no high-end apartments, and people of that age and retired people, a lot of single ladies that have lost their husbands, they want high-end and not have to do the yard work and whatever. But the SAPRO people, they want experiences, and they don't care if they have to pay a little bit more for their homes because they want a nice environment to live in. Will it be a successful endeavor? I am sure that it will be. because we've heard from many people, and the Tadic people have done due diligence in looking to see, is this feasible? Is it not feasible? Are they going to be able to make this work? They're not going to put something in here where it's just going to sit. I mean, that is not being responsible on their part. And all we can do is hope that, not hope, but encourage, people to rent the apartments and get those buildings. And as far as, buildable space, if we put the Tadic proposal in, that will enhance our tax base, where if we have single-family lots, the tax base will not be as great as what it could be with this proposal. And we want to increase our tax base. And as far as not listening, okay.
Thank you. We're going to shift gears. The next portion of our debate, the candidates will be asked to provide insights on taxation, indebtedness, and TIF districts. So Ed, first question is coming towards you. To begin with, how do you feel about the Common Council's decision to approve a capital improvement budget with a deficit of roughly $100,000? Is the city taking a reasonable approach with this play-it-by-ear kind of budgeting?
My quick response, no. I have never been involved with a city budget that we went into the budget with a deficit and we knew we had a deficit. It just doesn't work. And it should have been addressed right away. I also have some concerns how the budget process this past year went. When we're looking at a 60-cent increase, the highest increase in taxes in the history of the city of Shawano, we're dealing with a $22 million debt, and our debt limit is at $25 million. And we go into the year with a deficit, we have a problem that we need to work on. We have that could have been easily solved, and it should have been solved not by the department heads, but by the council members themselves. Should have been addressed before it ever got onto the city for action for the city. On top of that, remember, the city was also looking for a wheel tax on top of everything else, and they were banking on that wheel tax passing. That's why the debt occurred. So in the future, as mayor, our budget must be balanced, or we look at ways reducing cost, not to go into the year with a deficit and a wait-and-see attitude.
Okay, thank you, Ed. Jeannie?
Okay, that $100,000 concern really is a red herring, and it isn't real. The fact is that funding has been removed from the budget and is not going to be spent. It can't be spent because it has not been appropriated by the city council. Yes, we're going to try to do all of the projects in our SIP budget if we can, and with the funds that we have available. But if we can't, there are a handful of projects we are not going to do. $30,000 worth of fencing at the Memorial Park, for instance, or $20,000 for playground equipment, or $55,000 for the Acorn Street layover. It's like going to Charlie's with a shopping list and $100 in our pocket. You start with high priorities. You buy your meat, your bread, your eggs, and milk, and buy as much as you can on that list with $100. If you can buy it all, that's wonderful. No problems. But if you can't, you leave the chips and the ice cream on the shelf. $100,000 is less than 1% of our total general fund operations and capital projects budgets. The costs can swing from 1% to 3% in any year. We hope that the swing is in our favor and we can do the whole list. If not, we won't do those things and use the money. It's just like with your grocery list. And it's just like when in your home. We ask for things and we can pay for only so much. So we will leave things. Okay.
Very good. Response, Ed?
Sure. All of us here we deal with a budget, our household budget. The city needs to deal with their budget just like you do with your household budget. If you're going into the year or you have a project plan and you don't have the money for it, you don't do it. When you look at the city of Shawano's mill rate, which is the recent Wisconsin Taxpayers Alliance, showed our mill rate was ranked 140th out of 596 other cities and villages in the state of Wisconsin. Our mill rate is at 2368. It might be a little higher now since the budget, I don't have those figures. But the mill rate, along with the debt, and the average mill rate in the city, or for the state of Wisconsin, is $17.60. So we're well above the state average in the mill rate that we charge per thousand. To go into a year with a deficit and a wait and see, we're going to see how things come in, capital projects come in, and then when you see those projects come in way under budget, I have to start questioning whether or not they did their due diligence in putting those budgets together. Could we have lowered that 60 cents per thousand? Possibly. So we need to take a strong look at what we're doing with the budget, deal with it, and I'm willing to work towards coming to that goal.
Okay. Jeannie gets the next question from Tim.
The wheel tax that was proposed was brought up, that was voted down, as Ed mentioned. Is that something that you would have, or did you favor or oppose? And what other revenue streams would you propose to help the budget?
As far as the wheel tax, I thought it was a good effort to try and, get money for our budget to make sure that it would be helping our street systems. I'm not sure what you mean by. Can you rephrase what you said there, Tim? Or
Well, are there other means to for the city to bring in new revenue other than the wheel tax was one proposal? Are there other things that could be done?
Well, I'm sure there are, but at this time, I'm not aware of anything that we're working on to bring in more revenue. But our budgets and operating policies are developed and recommended by our dedicated professional staff and citizens committees. And each of these committees, the Field Committee, Parks and Rec, Finance, Personnel, SICDC, Planning Commission, these committees decide what is important in the city. And as far as bringing in more revenue, certainly it'd be through a tax base, getting more homes, getting more businesses. So that would be a way to get more revenue into our system. Nothing in the city budget is not considered important enough to be funded by these committees and the Common Council. And I'm really proud of the people that we have working for us, our city council members, our Plan Commission, and all of our staff. They work diligently. Mr. Whalen thinks that the opponent that committees are misguided and are wasteful spenders or bad policymakers. I don't believe that. I believe they are all doing their best to move our city forward, and I'm going to keep moving forward with what we're doing.
Okay, Ed?
Sure. We have wants and we have needs. And as representatives of the city, we are the stewards of the tax dollar. We have to balance between what we do need and what we want. And that's a balancing act that has to take place. You talk about additional revenues. Last 2 years with the building permits, that's gone from, in 2 years' time, from $54,000 to $119,000 just in the building permit. So if we're looking at revenues, we need to look at everything. We need to maybe look at cutting costs, what we need to do. Again, looking at what our needs are, what our wants are, and do that balancing act. Going into budgets with a $22 million deficit is a little problematic, needs to be addressed. When our cap is $25 million, there's not a lot of room to wiggle anymore. We need to deal with some of that issues. Also looking at revenue streams, different areas. Jeannie talked about some of that. I totally agree. State aids are lacking in some areas. So we need to be a little more creative in how we handle our taxpayer dollars.
Jeannie, response?
I believe we are being responsible. We need to make sure that we don't go over our cap. We are $4 million under our cap right now. At 21 million, it is a big number, but there is no city around that doesn't have a big budget and a big deficit there. That if we think back to the fiber fiasco that happened prior to my administration, they had to borrow $4 million for that. We're still paying off. We still have $3 million to pay. We're paying it off well, but it's going to take us till 2015 to pay it off. So there was some missteps taken, in prior administrations. And if we take that $4 million off, we're not as high as you think. Plus the $2 million that the 70% of the people that voted for the park referendum, we'd be around $16 million for debt. So we have to think about, what does that mean? What does that mean? Why is this debt so exorbitant? But it isn't. We're still under our cap and not willing to go further, but we do need to keep moving forward and having our city prosper. And we can't do that if we stop. We have to be fiscally responsible, not work at being fiscally restrictive.
All right. This question will be towards Ed first. In 2018, Shawano taxpayers saw one of the highest property tax increases in several years. As candidates, what spending adjustments would you enact to bring the property tax rate down while continuing to fund city services that residents have come to expect?
Not only in recent years, this is an all-time high tax rate or tax increase for the city of Shawano. We need, again, I'll emphasize, we need wants and what our needs are. Obviously, city services are important to many in our community. We need to look at critical services, police, fire, garbage pickup is also now funded, not only on taxes, but you pay a fee for garbage and brush pickup. So we have to listen to the community, address those needs, move forward with looking at critical looks. I mentioned earlier about doing budgets. When I see line items coming in way under budget, or we're going to save X number of dollars doing that, I begin to question how much homework was done to develop that capital improvement project. When I was chief, if we put out for squad cars, I made sure that I tried very hard to come in at that cost, what it was actually going to cost the city, and not pad the budget. I'm not saying that's happening, but we need to take a serious look at how we're doing our budgeting and what we're budgeting for. Again, we need to balance what our needs are and what our wants are. I can't emphasize that enough. We did that before. Jeannie talked about staying underneath our budget cap.
Okay, Jeannie?
Well, trying to keep under that budget cap is very important. We need to make sure that we are working towards, getting our debt down. We do not want our debt to go up any higher. And as far as, looking at our SIP budgets, people are looking at what do we need, what do we want? And we only budget for the things that we need. We have another list that says, well, if things come under budget, maybe we can do some of the wants. But we don't budget for the wants, we budget for the needs. And we start our budgeting process in June, I believe. And it goes through committee after committee. We talk about it, we sit for hours and figure out how can we best spend the taxpayers' money. It isn't our money, it is the taxpayers. And many of us are taxpayers right in the city. We don't want our taxes to go up any more than anyone else. All right, the 60 cents tax increase, 26 cents of that was for the parks, which 70% of the voters wanted. So you take that out. And when you look at that, many times the city has come under and not had an increase in taxes, but it's been the schools or it's been tech schools or whatever. It kind of is on a revolving rotation. You know, it just depends on what is being needed at the time.
Okay. Ed, response?
Sure. I wanted to also emphasize, Jeannie talked about staying underneath our levy. They raised the levy from 80% to 85% within the last couple of years. So we haven't really stayed in the long imposed, self-imposed levy limit, or the tax, or the debt limit at 80%. Again, we're spending money. I love parks like the next guy. I think parks are an important part of our community. But we also have to balance wants and needs. And do we need to spend millions of dollars on our parks where maybe that money could be spent elsewhere developing areas for home building, or that kind of money could be spent towards industrial development or East Green Bay Street corridor, County B corridor, the Highway 29 corridor. Voters are going to have to make that choice.
Okay, thank you. The next question will be posed towards Jeannie and by Tim.
And Ed has touched on this a little. Do you believe that the money being spent on park redevelopment is a wise use of city debt instead of repairing streets, sewers, sidewalks, and water mains? And a related question, perhaps, do you support a proposed downtown plaza to connect Franklin Park with Main Street?
Yes, I do feel that it is important that we follow through with what the voters wanted as far as parks. If you think about, you know, what a park can provide for our citizens and for tourists that come in, it will enhance what we are already, or what we can do. People nowadays are not, as I said before, they don't want things, they want experiences. That is why, if you look at Green Bay, they built the big Aaron's Hill. They want experiences. They're putting a pocket park in Green Bay. They're providing experiences and not just things for people. Is it a wise use? I think it is, because the voters went to referendum and said, yes, that's what we want. That's what our city wants. And if you think about it, if someone had not in the past, and there are forefathers, hadn't set aside Memorial Park, those would all be houses. And think of all the people that have enjoyed that park, and how many people are going to enjoy the new Franklin Park, the splash pad at Memorial Park. These are all exciting experiences for people to have. And when you have those experiences, people will come. It'll help our economy. It'll help people think that Shawano is a great place to live, which it is, because we have great schools, we have great businesses. It is very much needed. And what was the second part about?
Well, let me actually, before we throw it over to Ed, let me ask that as a follow-up. The other part of that was the downtown plaza that's proposed.
Okay. Well, the downtown plaza came about because of city committee, or open house, where what does Main Street want? What do they need? All right, is it a good idea? I feel it is, because again, it will connect Franklin Park to Main Street, which will have people going from one place to the other, going to the businesses that are there. Excuse me. And as Stubborn Brothers becomes more of a business, and right now they're just working on it, that's going to be another experience for people. I think the plaza, excuse me, the plaza is a great idea. I have more to say, but I can't. Okay, I guess I'm back. The plaza itself is a good connecting point to an experience area, and it will also provide opportunities for some buildings that are sitting empty right now. New businesses could very, very easily be brought in. A little shop for sandwiches and soup, different experiences that we don't right now have. Good example of that is the hot dog, J-Dogs. I mean, who would have thought a little J-Dogs trailer would gather that much interest? Those are the kinds of things that people want, and that's providing a space and opportunity is good for our community.
Ed, we'll give you
Sorry.
additional time since there's kind of two parts to that question.
Sure. For 1.8 million, I expect a great experience. I hope we all have a great experience for that kind of money. But I also question whether or not that money's well spent, and there's a hidden cost with that money that was appropriated in that referendum. There was hundreds and thousands of dollars spent on consulting fees to develop these plans. This wasn't done in-house. This was done with consultants coming in excess of $300,000, $400,000 worth of consulting fees that were paid to have them come in and put together these proposals. And Jeannie's talked about visions. I have visions, I have great visions, but I also have goals. And we need to address it. Again, we get down to the wants and the needs of the community.
Okay, response, Jeannie?
Well, I guess we have to, as elected officials, listen to what our community wants. And they wanted the parks. They accepted the fact that there would be a cost to these parks. Yes, it cost us to get someone in that has expertise in developing parks. And isn't that a very good thing to do rather than just someone that doesn't have the ability? We always look for the expertise in developing anything, and getting consultants in that have worked hard and diligently to develop other parks. We did go and look at other plazas. We did go and look at other parks during this whole time. And we found out that from the other communities that we went to, that the parks really do enhance what is going on in your city. It draws people in, and that's what we want. We want a place that is friendly, that is safe, that is encouraging for people to use. And everything comes at a cost. Anything we do comes at a cost. And when the citizens say this is what they want, we listen to them, and we try and get what they want, because it's their town. It's not just the mayor's town, it's not the council's town, but we have to listen to what our constituents want.
Okay. Next question is first posed towards Ed. Do you support the city continuing to create TIF districts, which can place a greater burden on taxpayers until those districts are paid off to spur new growth and development?
TIF districts are a good resource for municipalities in the state of Wisconsin, but TIF districts need to be used and used wisely. The TIF districts that we currently have in the city are working to an extent. I don't believe that they're working as well as they could, but the TIF district, the only thing that would monitor it, or you have to monitor the TIF districts to make sure that, one, they're not going into default, they're not losing money, and a lot of people don't understand how a TIF district works, that any new building in that TIF district winds up not being used or not on the tax to reduce taxes. I believe that one of the reasons why the city of Shawano had to raise taxes the way they did this past year is because, in effect, not totally, but part of the problem is because of the number of TIF districts that are in the city. TIF districts are complicated, and they're a good tool for municipalities in the state of Wisconsin. It allows us to compete with a lot of other states like Illinois, Minnesota, that we would not be able to compete with those other states to draw and attract businesses. But TIF districts have to be used in a wise and a prudent manner.
Okay, Jeannie?
Well, I think the TIF districts are the best and least costly tool that we have to bring economic development to our city. Many of the projects that came to be, like United Co-op, Bellmark, or Dunham's, would not have happened without the TIF money and assistance that they received. And it is the best basic premise that for the TIF is the but-for test. Without TIF assistance, would this or that project have happened? The SICDC, the Shawano Industrial and Commercial Committee, scrutinizes every single request for TIF assistance and makes sure that we are investing appropriately in our existing businesses like United Co-op and new opportunities for Bellmark. If we didn't have United Co-op, they would not have partnered with us and to develop the co-op park that will be on Richmond Street. We do use some of the debt, some of the debt for TIF assistance and infrastructure improvements, but the biggest bang we get is with the pay-as-you-go financing. It is low risk. We only pay out what we receive in taxes from the project, and the payout is capped by the taxes paid by the company. In the meantime, we benefit from the new jobs and the economic activity that these projects create in our city. Our oldest TIF districts, 2 and 3, may be closed in this next year and will provide more than $400,000 in tax relief for the city, school district, and this county taxpayers. TIF.
Okay, Ed, response?
Sure, they provide, but the schools, district, the county become stagnant in what they can take out of that TIF district for taxes. When the TIF district is created, it stays at that tax level. It doesn't increase if you have another building built into it or a new construction that takes place in that TIF district. The additional revenue goes into helping pay off that TIF district. So, having said that, we need to be a little careful on what we do to create a TIF district and why we're creating it and where we are creating that TIF district.
Okay. In our next segment, the candidates will be questioned about city governmental operations and their views with regard to the future of how the city will operate. Tim, pose the first question to Jeannie.
Do you believe the current structure of city government here is effective, i.e. Strong council, weak mayor? Should that structure be redefined, including making the mayor's position a full-time job with a full-time salary?
Well, as a full-time position would come with a cost. You know, it is a part-time position, but what is part-time? It's whatever you want to put into, you know, the position. I am there more than part-time, and as was the predecessor. Do I feel that we need to change that structure? I personally would like to see us look at making the mayoral position a 3 or 4 year position, so that we are not looking at someone coming in every 2 years. First year, it's a learning process. With any job you go to, the first year you're learning everything that needs to be done. Second year, you just get started on projects, and then all of a sudden we've got a campaign, which makes it very difficult to move forward if you're not reelected. So I would like to see that structure changed, yes. Would I like to see it be a full-time position? Yes, I would like to see that. As far as, but some of the things are state mandated, as far as, you know, weak government or weak council or weak mayor, strong council. That is the term that is used, but it doesn't mean that the position itself is weak. It just means that the council has the say, not the mayor. And except in case of a tie, then the mayor makes the decision.
Ed?
Sure. Going into this, I understand that the position is part-time. I understand also that you put a lot more effort into this position than just being part-time. I have mixed feelings about if this position should be full-time or part-time. I'm not going to advocate that this position be made into a full-time position, but I also want to say that I think the mayor, we talked in Tim's question was whether or not it's a weak mayor, strong council. the mayor, and my past experience with the mayor has been, the mayor sends a direction that the council, or tries to steer the direction that the council needs to go, or where the community needs to go. I think they both have to work hand in hand. It's neither one or the other. Obviously, with the situation that we have here in the city of Shawano, the council has the ultimate vote. The mayor only steps in and breaks a tie vote. So, having said that, there's a lot of time, a lot of effort, and I've been involved in almost every aspect of the city government through my entire career. And I've been dealing with budgets, crisis issues, personnel, everything that a mayor deals with on a daily basis. So I'm prepared. I understand what I'm getting into. I know Jeannie has figured it out also, what she's gotten into. But I'm here to tell you that I'm more than willing to step in and take charge.
Okay, response, Gene?
Sure. The position itself is very time-consuming, but very rewarding. I also knew at the time that when they said part-time, it's not part-time. It's however you have a heart for doing what you're doing. My heart is in the city, and therefore I do the best I can. I work diligently and meet regularly with all of the department heads, and we have meetings. And yes, as the mayor, I have been saying, yes, this is something we should do, or no. There's a lot of give and take. Our council is strong. We try and work together collaboratively, which is something that I feel is important, that we have a good working relationship with all of our committees, all of our groups of people that are citizens, so they can come in and talk to me about what they like, what they don't like. I have an open door policy, which has been something I've had since I was a teacher and an educator and a principal. That is important to hear what the community wants. And as the mayor, I've listened to people, and I've agreed sometimes and not agreed at other times. But we have to make sure that we don't get into an old boys club, which isn't good. Where some people feel that they can make the rules change for them, and I do not believe that. I want to treat everyone equally. I don't believe.
Okay, thank you. This next question will be posed to Ed first. So last year during the budgeting process, the Finance Committee met almost entirely in closed session meetings. Do you believe the city has been adequately transparent in the manner in which it conducts business? What changes, if any, would you make to increase the city's operational transparency?
That's a great question. A lot of people do not realize that the city budget was conducted almost entirely in closed session. That's the problem we had at the end of the year. All of a sudden, here's the wheel tax. All of a sudden, here's another increase in taxes that we dealt with. There's a reason and a time to do closed sessions. It is not during the budget process. We talked about transparency, or I've heard the term transparency. That was farthest from the truth what occurred this past fall. When you do city budgets, the public should be informed on what's being talked about. The only time you go into closed session is to deal with personnel issues. Maybe you're negotiating a contract with a business or an industry that's looking to come in. There's very limited times that you should be going into closed session. Doing a budget in closed session is not transparent. It doesn't serve the public. It doesn't serve the community. One of the things that came out of the closed session, a lot of people don't realize, is some of the hidden things that are also in the budget. Hopefully we can talk about those tonight. One of them is dealing with the goose population. The city has allocated $6,000 to eliminate the geese down at Smalley Park in Huckleberry Harbor. Now, I understand they cause a problem, but this is the kind of thing that happens when cities do business in closed session.
Okay, Jeannie?
Okay, many things are discussed in closed session. I'm not sure if prior to my mayoral position, there were budgets done in closed session or not. It's not that we're not trying to be transparent. We need to have discussions on what is going to work, what isn't going to work, how we are best going to spend the money. It's no hidden cost for the goose, the goose problem. If we don't address the goose problem, and yes, it's a high cost, but where the geese are, that's where the ski sharks are. And if you're familiar at all with geese, they leave a lot of residue on a daily basis. And people will not be coming to enjoy the ski sharks, which gives us a lot of revenue. We need to do something about it. And again, it comes at a cost. It's not something hidden or trying to sneak through. I mean, these are things that you talked about, needs and wants. We need to do something about this. It's not that we want to. We'd like to use the $6,000 for something else. But if we don't take care of the property that's there, and so that it can be used in an appropriate way so that it can build our revenue, get people out onto the water, or the ski sharks be able to have their shows, which enhances our economic development here. I mean, we have hundreds of people that come to that show, and if we aren't taking care of it, we're in trouble.
Okay. Ed, response?
Sure. I think the question talked about transparency. We can talk about goose droppings all night long and maybe some other night. We need to deal with the transparency budget done in closed door sessions. I wasn't involved with the closed door sessions, but in all my years dealing with budgets in the city of Shawano, I cannot remember once having to go into a closed door session to do a budget. It's whatever happens within that has got to be published afterwards, and you didn't see any of that. We also talk about transparency, and we're looking at the City of Shawano website. All the committees and everything else are on there except for the Park and Rec meetings and what's discussed in the Park and Rec. So we need to improve on the transparency and to make sure that the community knows what's going on. We don't whip a wheel tax on them at the 9th hour. We don't whip a tax rate on them at the 9th hour without input and discussion in the community.
All right, we're going to move on to the next topic. Our next segment focuses on city regulations and the business environment. Tim will pose the first question to Jeannie.
Whether this is true or not, there is a perception that that exists among some that the city is not business friendly. Do you think there is any truth to that perception? And if not, what would you do to address it?
I don't think that that's really true, but the perception is reality to some people. There are some business owners that feel that maybe we aren't as welcoming as they would like. And what I'd like to do in my next term is to get some of these business owners together and talk about how can we make things better for them. The majority of the business owners are very happy with what we're doing in the city. Our downtown business people are working hard to make things better. We want to stretch it out to the East Green Bay Street area so that we can bring them in and find out what exactly is it that they don't feel that the city is friendly on. We're providing opportunities for all the businesses if they need assistance, but we also have to look at each business, and if they are not doing things according to our rules and regulations, we have to address it with them. And sometimes that's hard for individuals that are business owners to look at. Many times it's, you can't see the forest for the trees. You walk by, things and they're in disarray and you just forget that you need to fix them up. So sometimes we have to go in and talk to some of these business owners and say, gee, in order to enhance your business, and that's really what we want to enhance the businesses that are not maybe as well developed, and get them to come to us, and we'd be willing to help them.
Okay, Ed?
I think the question was communicating and working with our businesses. When I talk to businesses, and I've been approached by a number of them, and when the street starts getting torn up by their business and it's the first they knew about it, then we might have a problem that we need to deal with. We need to open up that line of communication to make sure that those businesses know what we're going to do. Obviously, this last fall, with the budget and the capital improvement projects that were discussed and put into the budget, no one had an idea what was going to be in that budget until the December meeting. That's unfortunate, and that needs to be changed. We also need to open up communications and work with our businesses. We need to keep and work with the businesses to keep those that are here, and help them develop and help them expand and communicate with them and let them know what the city has to offer, what we can do, what the city would like to do, and what they need to be more successful. Very simple.
Okay, Jeannie, response?
Well, I feel that we are reaching out to businesses, and they are coming to us, once we've let them know that we have money available for them, or just, sit down and talk to them. What needs to be done, and work with them. And that is something that we really want to, work on again, and better communication, because communication is the key. We have to be able to talk and agree to disagree, but we do need to go to some of these businesses that feel that perhaps in the past things have not gone well. We do need to be more forward. I know that our Department of Public Works is going out and making a concerted effort to let people know that streets are going to be, in disarray, because we've heard that before, and we do need to communicate better, and we are making every effort to increase the communication with our business people along with the citizens, so that they know what is coming down the road. For example, the Main Street's going to be, torn up in between now and Memorial Day because of needs to fix what's underneath the sewer system. So instead of waiting for something to happen, we're going to be proactive and get that fixed ahead of time. Is it going to be disruptive for some of the businesses? Yes, but they have been informed. They understand that there's a time limit, and that's what we need to do, is communicate better.
All right. Our last question before we go into closing remarks. That'd be first posed to Ed. How would you assess the relationship between the city of Shawano and Shawano County and our Native American neighbors? And are there ways that we could improve relationships with both?
Sure. I have a long history of working with Shawano County, especially in law enforcement, in a partnership with our neighbors to the north and to the west, the Stockbridge-Muncie tribe, along with the Menominee tribe. We built a new firearms training facility. That was a joint effort between all those entities. I've been there. I know a lot of them. And we need to work hand in hand. I've said this before, I'll say it again. Our communities are joined at the hip. We need their support as much as they need our support. I believe the city, and I saw this when Mayor Marquardt was mayor, working with the tribes on common issues that we would have. It runs the gamut. What affects their community affects our community. What happens to them and what they do affects us. We need to have that open dialogue, that open talk, back and forth between those tribes, and work collaboratively together with the tribes and our neighbors to the north, in understanding what they might have a problem with, something that we can address. We see the transportation bus traveling around the city. What a great effort on the tribe's part to work with the city and provide a service for all residents. We need to continue to do more of that.
Okay, Jeannie?
I'm in agreement that we do need to work with all of the tribes, but not just the tribes, but also the townships. One of the things that I had done earlier this year, or I guess it was in the fall, we held a joint meeting. It was a kind of a meet and greet with the county officials, the sheriff department, the police department, council members, and staff, fire department, there was no agenda, but we just got together and we talked about, what are things that we can do collaboratively to better enhance the services that we have and increase awareness of what the needs are for our neighbors and what our needs are and how we can work together. The Menominee Transit is a wonderful program that they have, and I think we need to maybe connect better with them and see how we can incorporate that into our city, although they are in town. But working with our neighbors is imperative in order for us to grow and for them to grow. We need to work hand in hand with them and be cognizant of the fact that they have needs, we have needs, they have wants, we have wants, and if we can jointly work together and become more of a unit, we can then everyone benefits from that. It's not just it'll be a win-win for everyone.
Ed, response?
Sure. I agree with working together. It goes hand in hand. But we also have a great relationship, not only Jeannie mentioned with our townships, we work together currently with solid waste, landfill, fire protection. What a relationship and legacy Doug Knope left us, and the relationship he developed with the townships to create the fire department that we have today. Law enforcement, I will always be a strong supporter in the effort and cooperative effort with law enforcement, both at the county level and the city level. We need to work together. We're not in this alone. We need the community to work with us. And those kind of efforts, coupled with the partnerships that we've already enjoy, we need to look at maybe expanding those partnerships and working together for the benefit of not only our neighbors to the north, but our surrounding townships, and possibly work with enhance the transportation efforts that the tribe already offers, along with some of the other services that may be combined and work together on.
Very good. Enough of those pesky questions. We're done with that segment. We will now go into closing remarks, and again, each candidate will have 3 minutes, and we'll start with Mayor Kranz.
Okay. Well, in closing, I'd just like to say again, thank you for providing this opportunity for us. I want people to know that I am a hometown girl that is proud of Shawano, and I have worked very hard these last 2 years to enhance what we have going for us. We have a momentum going. We have a vision of moving forward. We can't stop now. If we stop and not be fiscally responsible, which we have been, and we become fiscally restrictive, our city will stop and we will die. We've seen it in Antigo, where the Main Street has just died because they didn't plan accordingly. We have to remember that we are working with all citizens in our town, not just the youth, not just the elderly, but everyone, and everyone has needs and wants. Our progresses in the past 2 years have been great. We have new businesses as in Belmark and Culvers and Prevea. We helped Tom's One Stop clean up his area there. We have Tumbleweed coming in. Stubborn Brothers is moving ahead quickly. I heard that we're just getting a new haircut place and tattoo parlor, so that'll be kind of interesting to see. They do straight razor shavings. We have Sensigs. They've updated their building. They have a store within a store. All of these things happen because we are proactive, because we are willing to help businesses. And the idea that we are not business friendly, these businesses wouldn't be coming in if they thought our town had too many taxes, if we're unfriendly to our businesses. They do their due diligence, and we are more than willing to work with them. We have to remember, too, that our young professionals need experiences. They don't need collections. They want parks and concerts and places to go and hang out. They just don't want, to sit at home anymore. They want to have nice apartments, which is something our town does not really provide at this time. Therefore, the building of the high-rise apartment near Smalley Park would really be a great thing for our town. And everything comes with a cost. I know we talked a lot about money. Well, in order to make money, you have to spend money. And in order to, when you spend that money, it's like the old saying, build it and they will come, and they will come. That's why our parks are important. That's why our downtown is important. That's why our East Green Bay is important. That's why we need to develop the B corridor, the Highway 29 corridor. We have to be working together, and all this takes a lot of hard work and effort, which we have been trying to do. Have there been bumps in the road? Absolutely. Can we be more transparent? Probably. And we will work on those things and make Shawano the great place it needs to be. And I would appreciate your vote on the 20th of April, so we can ensure that we are moving Shawano forward. Thank you.
All right, Chief Whalen, your closing remarks.
Thank you. I too want to move the city forward, but I think we need to look forward in another direction and working harder towards development of the 29 corridor, the County B corridor, East Green Bay Historic corridor. Also, serving as mayor for the city of Shawano has been a goal of mine for many years. I feel like the timing is right. Taxes, electrical rates, restrictive regulations, fees that go along with them are on the rise. I believe I'm the most qualified candidate to lead the city. I've lived and worked in this community since 1979. Although neither my wife nor I were born or raised here, once we moved to Shawano, we wanted to be here. Over the years, my wife Diana and I had job offers and opportunities in other cities, but we developed a bond with this community, and it was home, and we chose to stay. My career, as most of you know, was in law enforcement. It was a demanding and sometimes thankless job, but one I served with dedication and pride. I worked hard and rose through the ranks from patrol officer to chief of police. I served as president of Wisconsin Chiefs. It gave me an understanding another level of experience, the one that impacted all communities in the state of Wisconsin. Over the years, I've developed a good working relationship with other governmental units, to include the county, the Menominee and Stockbridge tribes, along with the surrounding townships. My career was successful and rewarding, but I'm ready for a different leadership role, that of the mayor. My years of working for City of Shawano prepared me for this position, and I'm ready to hit the ground running. This election is not about the next couple of years. This election is about the future of our city. We need to focus on the types of development that are going on in the community and enhance that development with industries and businesses that create good paying jobs. This community has so many great things to offer. Located between the Wolf River and Shawano Lake, our natural resources are a draw. We have so many amenities that we can be proud of, to include our schools, medical facilities, downtown and a business district, industrial parks, health facilities, parks, numerous churches, and so much more. But we can do better. Is there room for improvement? Absolutely. New ideas, both internal and external, looking at challenges from the new perspective, creating harmony through open and honest communication are always ways to move in a positive direction. Thank you again for this opportunity to talk to you and share my views, concerns, and goals. Thank you, Jeannie Krantz, for being a participant tonight. I would like the opportunity to move Shawano to the next level through improved communication, a reduction of overzealous regulations, home and business development, along with less taxation. Please vote for me April 3rd. Thank you.
Very good. How about a nice round of applause for both candidates? What a tremendous job. Thank you very much for stepping forward and help us lead our great city. I want to thank our sponsors again, Shawano Country Chamber of Commerce, the Shawano Leader, SAPRO, and Shawano Community Education. Thank you very much for allowing us to have this debate this evening. Both candidates, folks, want you to get out and vote for them on April 3rd, so please do so. Have a great evening. Thank you very much for attending. Thanks, Ed. Nice job.